Guys, I wanted to make a quick video here and show you how to get the air out of your N14 motor or other motors that are controlled by the computer. One of the things I recommend if you're at home do-it-yourselfer, get you one of these funnel kits. They come with adapters. They mount on here. I'd have it in here, but we just got done doing this one. And basically what they do is they hold themselves in there and you fill them up about halfway or whatever, and you'll get the water level above the engine. That's going to help you get a lot of air out. But everybody knows these motors are kind of a pain in the butt, and even when you think you got everything out of them, you never do, and it's always kind of scary. People get worried. They overheat the motors at times. So I'm going to show you a quick trick of what I do and been doing for years. This is a thermostat housing. We all know about this bastard. You got to change all the time, and the crossover pipe. But when you tend to work on these motors and you do radiator work, and you end up opening the system up, you get a lot of air in the system, and people are always struggling to get the air out of these. Now, we use a vacuum system here now. Not everybody's going to have something like that if you're just an at-home mechanic. So I'm going to show you what I used to do for a long time. So I brought this one out just to show you basically what's going on down there. We all know the motor has, thermostat housing here, and you got your temperature sensor. Well, in the old days, we use these, little mechanical springs, and they just get heated by the actual radiator fluid. They open and close. We all know about that. They work great. Sometimes people have trouble with these, so they would drill a little hole in here and just let the air get out when you're first putting your system back together. Well, now we have a computer-controlled thermostat, and you see the valve right down there. And what always seems to happen is when you first do the system and you take the hoses out and you start putting water in it, you'll see that it seems full. Even with the funnel, it'll seem full, and you won't be able to get the rest of the air out. And one thing that seems to happen a lot to people is when you get air on this side of the system, it tends to not want to open the thermostat up. And what we see, we do thermal imaging cameras on these, and we'll see right away the motor is getting over 200 degrees, but then the temperature sensor here is only reading 150. And you can go out and drive it hard, and you don't want to, you end up running these motors too hot, and you're trying to get the air out, and you're trying to get this thing to open. And then eventually, if it does open, it'll help a little bit. You'll come back, you're trying to top this off over and over. I'm going to show you a different way to attack this monster. What you're going to do is you're going to make yourself a plug. I got this off an old old wiring harness, and I plug it in. So we unplug the one on the car. We always disconnect the battery first, but we unplug it, and then what we do is we just supply 12 volt DC to this plug. What this thing is, it's got a spring in it, just like this one, but so the computer control your temperature, the spring only opens and closes from the 12 volt DC current being thrown into it. And that's the way your car can, lower the temperature when you're in sport mode, and, just gives computer control. It's good, but it's also a pain sometimes. Now, there are some scan tools out there that do have the option to open this for you, even when the car is off. Mine don't have it. A buddy of mine has one that does, but I think he bought one from an auction from an actual dealership. So not everybody's going to go out there and buy a $20,000 computer. But if you're lucky enough to have that, you don't have to do this. But I haven't seen one that's cheap enough just for anybody to get that will open this for you. So what I do is I disconnect the harness. I put my jumper wire in here, my plug, and then we supply 12 volts to it. As that 12 volts going in there, it eventually it takes about 20 seconds. It'll heat up the spring. This valve will open. And what you'll see, like what I do is I have this already in place. I have about halfway full. And even after we thought we gotten all the air out by squeezing the lines and doing everything you can do, when that sucker opens, it finally lets the air out of this system and work its way up. Now, of course, the way we know about this bleeder screw, that just doesn't do the job half the time. It'll make a mess, and it's still not letting the air from the other side of that thermostat valve get out of the system. So supply power here, let it open. Now, like I said, I would have this about halfway full after you've done everything you think you've done and you got everything out of it. Keep this about halfway full, and when that gets power to it and that opens, you're going to see a lot of air start bubbling up out of the radiator. And that's always the problem with these. So what I do is I do that. I squeeze the radiator hoses while this has got power and it's opened, and you'll see all the bubbles coming out of here. And then once you get it to where you think you got everything, start the car. Now this is going to be open. You don't have to wait on the computer. You will need a scan tool because it will throw a code if you have this unplugged. But trust me, it's worth the effort, because now when you start that car, the water pump's going to move all the water through the system. You'll see a lot of air bubbles come flying up out of this, and then eventually it'll stop. It only takes about 2 minutes, 3 minutes max. Turn the car back off, let it set, sitting here like that, And you'll see once the air stops, then you can use this little rod. It's like a little plunger device that keeps it from making a mess, and you can pull it back off, put it back in your jug, and not make that big of a mess all over the car. This works fantastic. I've showed this to a couple of people, like, man, I've never heard anybody doing that, and I've helped people online, and face called some people, and I've showed them what to do, and they loved it. They always keep telling me to put a video. I don't do many many videos, but it's a cool little trick, because all you're doing is taking the control the computer has and doing it yourself, opening this up, and you will see instantly you get all the air out of the system. You don't have to worry about your motor getting too hot trying to get that thermostat warmed up enough, or for the sensor anyway, to open the thermostat. Once you get it, turn the car back off, hook all your stuff back up, take this off, and you're going to be good to go. Like I said, it's a cool little trick just to force that open. It's not going to hurt anything. You just want to hit it with like 5 or 10 amps at the most. You can use a battery charger. You can use just a battery. And get that sucker open, and you'll instantly see when it opens, because it'll start putting a lot of air bubbles in the system, and it'll get them out for you. So hopefully that'll help some of you guys. If you have any questions, man, just reach out. Like I said, I think these are only like 20 bucks, and it's a great deal. And if you don't have a vacuum system, or if you're doing something yourself, it works really, really well.